Hi, in this video tutorial we will learn loops in Python. So first thing is, what is the loop? So a loop is a statement which allow us to execute a statement or group of statement multiple times based on particular conditions. So we can say if condition is true, then we are executing the bulk statement, or we can say group of the statement in the loop. So Python allow us a different type of loop mechanism to implement the loop logic in the Python programming. So let's check. So in Python we have three different type of loops, that is while loop, we have for loop and nested loop. So while loop, for loop and nested loop. In the nested loop we have a same while or for loop, but we have a loop within a loop. Means we can say if we are implement the while loop within the while loop or within the for loop, we can say it's a nested loop. Okay, so first thing is a while loop. While loop is a repeated statement or group of the statement while a given condition is true. It tests the condition before executing the loop body. So here is one example with the while loop, that whiles, and we are implementing the count less than 9. So if the value of count is less than 9, we simply print the count values here using the print statement, and inside the while loop we increment the counter. So you can check here the space between the before the print and count, so that it's compiler understand that this statement is within the particular while loop only. Okay, so the next statement is the for loop. So in the for loop we are implementing the same looping statement, but for loop is some kind of difference than the while loop. While loop is executing based on the particular condition, while the for loop executing based on the sequence of statement. So here execution is sequence of statement multiple times, and the code that manage the loop variables. So here is the example. We have a word array. We have inside the word array we have three values. Okay, and using the for loop we are implementing the w in words. W is here the items in, and words is the sequence. Sequence means you can also use the array, you can also use the strings to get the character, you can also use the list, you can also use the tuples as well. So here w is the item in this particular sequence, and every time when this particular loop is executing, we are getting the new item from the sequence, and using that particular variables here, w is the variable, and we can print that particular item. So print w, and we also print the length of that particular variables. Okay, so using the loop you can say you can execute the group of statement multiple times based on the numbers of items in that particular sequence. And using the while loop we can say we can perform some condition, and based on condition we can execute the group of the statement. Okay, so in the next section we have the nested loop. So nested loop is a it's not a different type of logic along with the while and for. We have a similar logic we implement in the while and for loop, but the thing is that we have a loop within the loop. So you can say we have for loop within the for loop, or for loop within the while loop, or we can say for loop while loop within the while loop, or while loop within the for loop. So you can use the one or more loop inside the any other another while loop, for or do while loop. So that is the nested loop. So here we have one example which find the prime numbers. So we have a one outer for loop. This is the outer for loop where n in the range of 2 and to 10. So range is of one function provided by the Python, so to get the range of value from the starting point and ending point. So here 2 and 10. So we are getting the numbers from 2 to 10 inside the n variables, and inside the for this particular for loop we have another for loop, that is the for x in range of 2 comma n. So we have another for inside nested for loop within this particular for loop, and we are getting the x from the range of value 2 to n. And if it's n modulo x equal to 0, then we are simply print that n equals to x, and then the break statement is there. And you can also notice the else statement over here. Else statement is executing when this particular x is out of this particular range, or we can say items. If for loop is already for example, we have 10 items in the sequence, and for loop is executed for all the 10 items, then after that else condition is executed. So in the else part we can say simply print that if this particular value is not present, and in the loop, then it's that means it's a prime value, so we are printing this n as a prime value. And you can also put the else statement with the while loop as well. So here you can put the else statement as well. So else statement is executing when this particular condition is false. So this is all about while loops, for loop, and nested loop. So we also having some condition loop statement, control statement, something like break, while, continue, and pass. So let's check with that. So we have a loop control statement, that is a break statement, we have a continue statement, and we have pass statement. So inside in the particular example, you can check, I highlight with the bold, like break here, break, continue, and pass. So let's start with the break statement. Break is one type of we can say it's a loop control statement to when we are executing the particular loop, and if there is some condition is fulfilled at that time, right? So we are putting the break, so it's automatically break the next iteration, or we can say next execution of next statement, and it's continue with the next iteration of the for loop. So we can say break out of the innermost enclosing or while loop. So when we are breaking this particular things, it's automatically break this particular loop, and go outside. For example, here we have if we it's executing the break statement, it's automatically uh, enclose the innermost loop, that is this particular for loops as this particular for loop. So it's automatically exit from this particular loop, and continue its execution with the parent for loop. Or it's not necessary to keep the break statement within the nested loop only, you can also put the break statement in a for and while loop as well. So once a break statement is executing, it's automatically enclose the all the next execute or next statement, and go to the out, we can say close that particular loop, and go start implementing to the next statement after the loop. So also we also having the continue statement. Continue statement is not stopping the for loop or while loop to execute next condition, to execute the condition, it's stopping the next statement. So we can say if this particular for loop is executing and we are getting the continue statement, that means this particular next statement is not executing, and it's start continue with the next iteration. So let's say if 2 is we are fulfill the condition with the 2 modulo by 2, and this particular when its controller enter to this particular condition, controller get the continue statement, that means it's not executing the next statement, and it's continuing go with the third value, that is after 2. So we can say that it's a continue statement continue with the next iteration of the loop. Similarly, we also having the pass statement. Pass statement perform nothing, but it's something like used to perform the wait condition, or we can say also implement the pass statement when we when we write the some core code, and not implement the sum of the part of code, and want to implement in the future. So at that time we can write the pass statement over there. So it's not only limited to particular loop. It's all, you can also implement the pass in the class, and you can also implement the pass in the function as well. So it can be used when the statement is required to synthetically, but the program require no action. So we can, in simple word, we can say pass do nothing. It's simply one statement to wait the compiler to execute, or we can say it's one type of busy wait for the future implementation. So this is all about the control, or we can say loop statement, and along with the loop control statement. So I am done with that. I hope you are enjoyed this particular video, and if you want to learn more about the new technologies and new languages, keep watching on my channel. I continue posting my different video related to different technologies and platforms. So hope you are enjoying, and don't forget to subscribe my channel.